flank of the Union Army, the left end of the Union Army. Very important, as you'll see when we get up there. Now, guys, over your left shoulder, you see a big dome monument. That's the Pennsylvania Memorial. Now, that's on the fish hook. Now, if you were to draw a line between that monument and the smaller of the two hills with the open western face, all right, that's about 3/4 of a mile of Union battle lines. That's the fish hook. But now you see some monuments, you see some cannons here along this road where you see all these red barns. A Union general at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon by the name of Daniel Sickles makes quite a mistake here. He pushes his Union soldiers, 10,000 of them, this far forward. That's a mistake that almost cost the Union Army its victory at Gettysburg. Now, you won't be able to see most of these monuments. You won't be able to see these cannons from the slopes of Little Round Top, but you'll be able to see these red barns. And I'll be pointing back to these red barns when we're up there. When Sickles pushed forward, he pushed within 400 yards of the Confederate position at a place called the Peach Orchard. That's right here. Confederate battle lines, the tree line to your right. All right, now, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 23,000 Confederates are going to be advancing toward the Union battle lines on your left and over your left shoulder. We're going to follow 1,650 Texas and Alabama troops to Little Round Top. You see, we're getting closer and closer to the Confederate battle lines. This is toward the top of the map, the gray line on the top of your map. This is what we're heading for. This part of the Confederate battle line is going to be pushed to your left into the Union center. Into the Union left end. Please forgive me. Okay. The park has cut down 70 acres of trees down here. It looks exactly the way it did 159 years ago. You're going to be making your left about where that car is. Yeah, there it is. And when you make your turn, stay in your lane, obviously. See where those two green cannons are? That part All right, guys, if you're not quite sure as to where we're heading, just look down the muzzles of these Confederate cannons. It's exactly a mile to Little Round Top from these guns, right there. That's what they're pointing at. All right, now, Confederates in the states of Texas here and Alabama in front of us are going to get to that hill where these guns are pointing. But when they attack, they'll be attacking in a diagonal fashion. They'll be attacking to your left front. They go right past that farmhouse and white barn, which are original structures. They will then climb Big Round Top, a very large wooded hill. When they get to the top of that hill, they will swing hard to their left onto the Union position on Little Round Top. That's exactly what we're going to do as well. Early in the advance, there's a rather famous Confederate general. His name was John Bell Hood. That's what Fort Hood in Texas is named for. And as he's approaching that white barn, a Union Union exploding shell explodes above him. The metal goes through the man's left shoulder, through his left arm, and into his left fingers. Unbelievably, the Confederate surgeons were able to save the arm, but he remained pretty much useless and pinned to his side the remainder of his life. 2.5 months later, at the Battle of Chickamauga in northern Georgia, he would lose his right leg at mid-thigh, and still command troops in the field throughout the war. It's some pretty tough characters in Gettysburg, boy, I tell you. So these are the Texas positions. You can see there are fewer monuments for the Confederates. First Confederate memorial was 1917. It's a long time ago, but that was still 54 years after the battle. All right, guys. Now we're coming up to the Alabama State Memorial. On your right, you'll see coming up on your right, the Alabama State Memorial. Confederates that attack Little Round Top come right through here. I mean, right where the monument is. This is their advance from right to left. If any of you saw the movie Gettysburg or read the book The Killer Angels, the Confederates that attack the far left of the Union battle line, about 377 Union soldiers from the state of Maine under the command of a teacher by the name of Joshua Chamberlain. This is their advance. We're nearing the top. We're nearing the end of the Confederate battle line. Again, this part of the Confederate battle line being pushed to your left into the Union position. So it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon on July 2nd. This is the earlier of the two attacks. Alright, so Confederates leave this ridge line. You can see you're on Seminary Ridge, and they're going to go across that open field, up and over one hill to get to another hill. They're going to make this advance in 55 minutes. And most military historians believe that's an incredibly good rate of march, considering what these Confederates had been through that day. The Confederates that are attacking Little Round Top that day marched 24 miles to get to this battlefield. Their day began in a place called New Guilford, Pennsylvania, 24 miles away, starting at 4 o'clock in the morning. It took them 11 hours to march to Gettysburg. They got here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. An hour later, they attacked a Union position more than a mile away, going over one hill, the hill in front of us, to get to the next hill. It was 86 degrees that day and very humid. Every Confederate soldier is wearing a heavy woolen uniform. He carried on his back during his march at least 40 pounds of equipment, 10 pounds of ammunition, and a 9-pound rifle. And 1/5 of the Confederates, 1 in every 5 Confederates fighting here in Pennsylvania, are barefoot. No shoes, no boots. There was no road going up and over this hill at the time of the battle, and otherwise this hill was rocky and wooded. It was a hard climb on a hot day after a hard march. And half these Confederates, the Alabamans that were in the process of having their canteens refilled after that 24-mile march when the order to advance was given. Half these men went into battle without their canteens. These are hard characters. I mean, these are hard men going into battle. The Texans are on your left, the Alabamans are on your right. You can go up and over this hill. This is Big Round Top, too wooded to be of any military significance. They come down the slope as we do, and then finally up against the Union position. And you'll see that in a moment. All right, slow down up here, down here. Okay. All right, guys. Now, as we come around this turn, if you look to your directly in front of you, it'll be on your right as we go up the hill. But you'll see a monument up a path, and at the end of a wall. That is the left flank of the Union Army. That's the left end of the Union Army. It's right in front of you now. Look through the trees. There it is. There it is. All right, now the Union battle line, where that group is going. Now the Union battle line, it starts on your right. That must be a main group. Union battle line starts on your right, goes from right to left to the next monument in battle line, which is the 83rd Pennsylvania, from Erie, Pennsylvania. Then swings up and around the other side of the hill. Show you these positions. That's where the Battle of Little Round Top takes place, at least in part. But I'll be describing this action to you from the top of the hill. That's the guy.